Hi, welcome to another episode of Steel Bones podcast, Ampcast. My name is John, and today we are talking to an amazing young lady um, who has gone through a life-changing experience from the age of 15 months old, I believe, which was, as I said, life-threatening illness that led to a double below elbow amputation. Um, this wonderful young lady has embraced this situation and taken it to another level, and has pushed herself uh, through amazing things. Um, and I'd just like to introduce this amazing young lady called Tilly Lockey.
Hello. Hi. I'm happy to be here.
Lovely, thank you, Tilly. Um, just wondering, is it possible that you could just introduce yourself? I know I've just done a little glossary of things, but if you could just introduce yourself to everybody out there.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Tilly Lockey. I'm 19 years old at this moment in time. I recently just moved out down to Bath, but originally I'm from the northeast. And yeah, I lost my hands to meningitis when I was 15 months old, and that's like pretty much shaped my entire life. Like sometimes I think if that didn't happen, where would I be? Because when it comes to like prosthetics and like co-developing them with open bionics, I would have never got into that. Who knows whether I'd even be like living where I am now, because originally I was in Bristol, like to be close to the lab and living in the CEO's house for a little bit. So I don't even know if any aspect of my life would be the same if, that didn't happen when I was little. But yeah, it's been obviously a journey. There's ups and downs that come with having a physical disability, but I've just always tried to never let it define me in a way, and always like push through, be really determined. And I don't feel like it's like limited me in anything. In fact, I feel like it's probably like propelled me forward and made me who I am.
No, that's wonderful. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I met you probably about 2 years ago, I think, through Open Bionics. Um, and like within like probably half an hour of meeting you, you were kind of an inspiration for me going forward. um as a new sort of below elbow amputee myself, and understanding sort of what was going to be going on
Yeah.
in my journey alone, to see what you've gone through at such a young age, was very inspiring, and I can imagine it is incredibly inspiring for young children, uh, throughout the country, throughout the world, in fact. So yeah, I think it's
Thank
amazing
you.
what you've done. Hell
I
of a
thought
lot.
you were pretty cool too when I met you. I feel like we hit it off.
Wow, we try and help each other, don't we, along the
Yeah,
way?
for sure.
um, Tilly, if you don't mind, so basically, I was looking at basically finding out a little bit, if you don't mind me asking, about sort of your childhood as an amputee, and
Mhm.
how you coped as as a child, being a double below elbow amputee,
Yeah.
and sort of the um, struggles you may have had and how you coped. I know you've got an amazing family behind you, and that is, without doubt, they have been an absolute rock for you, and
Mhm.
every family's are up and down the land exactly the same. But I know that your parents have been absolutely fantastic for you throughout the whole journey. But I just wondered how you have coped yourself um, through that journey, and then especially probably through sort of the school times, because I can imagine it probably, a lot of people look at somebody with an amputation in very different ways. But as a child, when you're at school and everything, they probably are like, okay, what is this? How do
Mhm.
we approach Tilly in this way?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd just love to know a little bit more about that.
Well, honestly, like upon reflection, like you're right, like when you have your hands amputated, ultimately you're now trying to live in a world that's designed for like all four limbs. So there's going to be all these challenges. And when I like look back on, how I initially learned how to do like all these things, I'm inspired by my younger self because I'm just like, she clocked it, and I feel like she clocked it all on her own. Like I remember I learned how to write like without hands completely, and I mean it's in the name, like handwriting, do you know what I mean? And
Wow.
I wish I could tell you, like I remember what I was thinking when it was like, okay, now we're going to do some handwriting, because I'm obviously looking down and I realized like I don't have any hands. But it's really really strange, and it's really like mystical to me and like interesting how the body does just adapt and like figure things out.
Yeah.
So like physically, I was always like really, really determined when, I couldn't do something. I was like adamant I had to like sort it out. And I feel like that stemmed from like a very specific point in my life. Because I used to be like, oh, mom, can you do this? Can you do this? When I was like really little, where it was like excusable, But then I think I hit a certain age and I was still asking, and my mom was just like, well, try and do it yourself. Like, I'm not actually going to do it. Like, let's just see you try. And I feel like when I did try and accomplished what I wanted to, it like opened my eyes completely to like the fact that just because I have no hands, it doesn't mean I necessarily can't do it. I could just
Mm.
have to do it a different way. So, yeah, that was my entire like mindset growing up, was just like, past a certain point, if I can't do it this way, I could do it another way, and
Mm.
then just like forcing myself to figure it out basically in the corner. But
Yeah.
physically, I really got on quite well. Like I think a lot of people are like, when I say I'm like living my independent life and I moved out and I like take myself to like London for work all on the trains and do all that myself, people are like, how? Because I'm not
Mm.
just missing the one hand, I'm missing the two hands. And to
Yeah.
most people, if I told like people who are able-bodied and had hands their whole life, okay, you're gonna lose them. Like you use them every day, so the adaptation that takes is crazy. And yeah, like it's just one of those things that has just come naturally to me
Mm.
now. But as far as like other like mental things, I feel like I've
Yeah.
always been sort of my own like therapist throughout my
Okay.
entire life. When it comes to like tackling like physical activities, I've been like in my own ear going like, no, you could do it, you could do it, you could do it, like that. But also when it comes to like looking and feeling a little bit different, I feel like that's another thing that you've got to really like coach yourself through. And I
Mm.
feel like if you've been through any medical trauma, that does age you. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like I was
So,
very mature for my age.
yeah. How would you approach that though, Tilly? Because obviously, like you say, I know that you've been really driven and you've mentally driven yourself and physically driven yourself because of what's happened and everything. Um, but how, if you were like coming into this, what kind of, I suppose, what gave you the path to put yourself on and drive yourself in a direction, in a mental direction, as it were? Because everybody has their own individual ways, and we
Yeah,
cope in our own different way. um, but there are sort of, as I've said before, young children out there that are going to schools, and people look at each other in completely different ways. um, and I think for some people, it's very, very difficult to overcome that mental
yeah,
barrier. Um, and I know it's obviously worked for you in a certain way, but if you were going back, shall we say,
yeah.
in time, how would you approach it in a different way, or how would you say to somebody, okay, this was how I did it, and this is now the results of what I've
Yeah.
brought.
Well, yeah, everybody works differently. And I
Mm.
feel like for me, I was very like logical,
Hmm.
like I was very just like, I vividly remember, for example, I used to like in like the first years of primary school, I had this like crazy like shyness. I was really, really shy. I feel like it was actually like looking back on it, like more of like a fear of rejection, potentially
Hmm.
because of my disability.
Okay.
Um, because before I was working with prosthetics and that at the time, and before I was given prosthetics, I was given gloves and stuff like that. And I feel like that has some sort of like mental impact that, you should hide that, because we were literally like, oh, what does it do? And then they're like, well, nothing, you just stick it on the end of your arm to look more normal. And I feel like now I'm 19, I can reflect on these moments and be like, damn, that is like disastrous for like a little girl to hear growing up. But yeah, I was really shy like in primary school, and I would literally, it was to the point where like I just didn't want to ask anyone to play, so I would just sit on the bench by myself and like come up with like imaginary games and like just play by myself like that. And I vividly remember just one day being like, Tilly, I'm not being funny, but you cannot go your entire school life like not having any friends. This is getting a bit of a joke. And I really like, I was really like harsh. I was really like, I felt like me now talking to myself at the time, because I was genuinely just like, Tilly, this is honestly, this is pathetic. Like, pull yourself together, kind of. And I've always been that kind of way. And I was literally gave myself this pep talk one time, and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna have to go and do it. So like, I did that, and I just got up and like asked some people to play. They literally said no. So that was sad, but like that's besides the point. They made me like watch what they were doing, but eventually I was able to join in and they became my friends later. But yeah, I've always actually operated in just like a self-therapist sort of mode. Like whenever I know that I could be doing something better and I'm not doing it because I'm just scared or I'm anxious or whatever, I like legitimately just force myself, because I'm just like,
you're almost putting yourself into the position where you can't, you're almost having to force the issue yourself effectively. And I suppose not giving in. I suppose that's the biggest.
I think I just always saw two options. I was like, sit and never have friends. Sorry, I'm just getting my charger because I don't want this to die on you. I'll just plug this in so the podcast doesn't go a weird sound. Thank you, Dad. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So like I just always saw like two options, like the ideal world where I have lots of friends and we all have lots of fun, you know, and then I think it's just about taking the step towards that and not letting fear stop you, in case like, yeah, if you take that step and ask people to play, they might say no, and that could backfire. But that's better than remaining like stagnant and staying sat by myself when I know fine well that I should be making friends. I'm just scared to, you know? So I've always been like really logical like that, which is like quite cool, because I don't know, I can't speak for every like 3-year-old, but it felt like I almost felt like I had somebody like guiding me when I was younger.
Yeah, it's very almost very mature for such a young person to actually think logically in that way.
Yeah.
And I suppose maybe because you were in this situation, it maybe possibly spurred you on more in that respect, and made you possibly, a stronger person. It probably has made you a stronger person overall, to be honest with you, anyhow, in the way you approach things since then to this point now. You know, things have changed. But no, that's amazing. One of the other big things, and we're both part of it, I suppose, is the company that you are really sort of, I'd call it the face of.
Oh well, I'm flattered.
You are Lady Open Bionics, as I call you sometimes.
Love that.
You know, I think it's amazing where you've come and what you've achieved through Open Bionics and prior to Open Bionics, because I know your story prior to that as well, which I was very fortunate to know about. I mean, we've both been on a bit of a journey through the Open Bionics, and me in a shorter period of time, what's changed through them has been incredible, and what they've managed to achieve. How has Open Bionics helped you? Obviously through having a prosthetic, but just probably in terms of giving you experience or I suppose confidence. I suppose that is the other thing, because that arm does make you I suppose it's the product that, the one that they use where you've got you're dressed up in the silver outfit and everything, you have become like metallic sort of thing. You kind of have turned into that person in a way. But yeah, what what, in your opinion, as a upper body amputee, having fortunately been able to get a product like the Open Bionics Hero Arm,
Yeah.
what has that given to you? What is it, what have you been able to achieve off the back of that as well?
Yeah. Well, we talk about like all the physical benefits, like
Mm,
'cause it's a medical device at the end of the day, and like
yeah.
me being a double amputee, like obviously whenever I do anything, it's like always the two arms together. So like it's opened a lot of doors and like just speeding me up a little bit. I'm quite impatient, so that was good. Like being able to multitask and like just like pull a suitcase and like drink a hot chocolate. It's like those little things that like have just really helped a lot because previously I'd have to sacrifice the hot chocolate, something like that, which nobody wants to do, you know. So there's stuff like that, but then yeah, we have to talk about like the mental benefits as well, and I feel like that has been amazing and amazing for like all the users. Well, not everyone has their own experience, but the amount of people who just like have the same reaction I've had, which is just immediate like empowerment when you put them on, is amazing. And what I've learned from Open Bionics is I think they were honestly like, because I worked with other prosthetic companies before, like in development and stuff. But it was very, very limited and it was all very like hyper realistic, like before prosthetics, I was even given gloves and stuff like that. So it was very much like masking it rather than like trying to actually help the person with the
Mm,
disability. And like that translated to me like it was more about making like the general public more comfortable,
mm,
and getting less stares and stuff like that. But like that to me just never really resonated, never really sat right, because I've adapted pretty well, and here I
yeah.
was on this super expensive prosthetic that can't do much, like didn't even open wide enough to hold a cup, but at least it has like wrinkles and freckles and looks like
Yeah.
skin. Like that was never something that I was after. And for some reason, like there just was not even a choice. Like it was
Mm,
just like this is what's available, take it or leave it type thing. And they were just never really even like pushing the boat out and like thinking, how can we change this? Like even when I first got my like first prosthetic, like there was a woman who was in the waiting room as well, and she asked what I was given, and like we opened it up, we showed her, and she was like, that is what they gave me like 25 years ago. Like, and that was a minimum 25 years. Nothing had changed, like not from the
mm,
function, how it looked, even like the material. It was that
yeah.
stagnant, and they just hadn't even thought like maybe we could do this slightly differently. They never like thought to ask the customer, is this actually what you want?
Mm,
Like, and it might have been what people wanted at one point, and it could still be what some people like because everyone's got their preferences. But I just found like the lack of choice and
yeah.
the very much like here it is, like very
Mm,
like strange. And when it came to Urban Bionics, what was so exciting about them was the fact that they were designing them to look different. Like that's what drew me to Urban Bionics. I think I was like 9 years old at the time. So when
mm,
I saw they were like making like Iron Man arms and Elsa arms, there was this excitement that like I never felt before about prosthetics. They were very much like a chore in the past, whereas these were like fun. And yeah, you wanted to put them on and the function was so much better. So you wanted to put them on to like do things, but like also you just wanted to put them on, and not just put them on, you wanted to put them on and roll the sleeves up and make
yeah.
sure everybody saw them. And that was something that was like brand new. You went
Mm,
from like realistic prosthetics to like make it look more real to like having something that looks different and wanting to roll those sleeves up further and wear
yeah.
them. So it was like revolutionary.
Mm,
And what I've learned from Open Bionics is um I think how important co-design is, like, and that I should always like speak up about, what I think needs to be changed and what I think needs to be different. Because ultimately that's how Open Bionics are like breaking all the records and things now,
yeah.
is with the Hero Pro, is because they've been so open to feedback,
Mm,
and that's something that hasn't happened before. And now I literally like travel the world and it's in my presentation when I'm talking to like big businesses and things like that. I'm like, if you guys aren't talking to the customer like the way Open Bionics are to me, then you're doing it wrong. Like you're
mm,
not making the product to the best of its like best of your ability if you're
yeah.
not talking to people and getting feedback and like improving it based off of that. It's all good being an incredible engineer. Like they're amazing engineers, but they'll say themselves they can't try them on daily and
No.
like figure out what needs to be changed. So
Mm,
it's so important to like be so full on with the user and have
yeah.
it co-design.
I've always said, since I've obviously been an amputee and had, a prosthetic and everything. I think the biggest element of it is being able to express how you feel,
Yeah,
um,
100%.
and trying to tell people, because you know the best people to be able to trial these products or look at these products or even do anything is the amputee themselves.
Yeah,
That's
for
who's
sure.
going to that's the person who's actually going to benefit from it at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
and
and they're going to be wearing it.
it's
But
mad
people,
to think they weren't doing that before.
yeah,
Like,
and it's crazy, and you think that's possibly why we've still got, unfortunately, like, prosthetics out there that are available, um, but are still very basic in their
mm,
approach and their design and
mm,
what have you. Whereas, like we both know, the open bionics, and there are other ones out there now, but they're adapting to time. They're
yeah,
adapting to new technologies. They're wanting to make the prosthetic a part of you and be sort of,
it's an extension of you.
yeah. And you can, for instance, you can bling them up and make them colorful, make them look attractive,
Yeah.
to whatever outfit you're wearing, wherever you're
Mhm.
going. You customize it to suit whatever occasion that you're doing. And I know you're the best at doing that, because
It was my
especially with,
favorite hobby.
yeah, I know you're incredibly good at trying, bling up your prosthetics and getting it so it looks the part and everything. So, yeah, I think it's something that, going forward, in the prosthetic industry, I think they need to potentially look further into these sort of things, to
Yeah,
not just think about, always the greatness of how that hand, arm, whatever works, but also a bit about the cosmetic element to it,
yeah,
because at the end of the day, we're all wearing prosthetics, whether you're lower limb, upper body, amputees and stuff. But if you can make it attractable and functional,
yeah.
you're more likely to get people coming up to you and not standing off at you.
Mhm.
People will be more approachable as well,
Yeah.
towards you. Um, and I think it's coming. I just think it's just going to take time.
Mhm.
Um, and I think a big thing is it's a case of getting it out there to the world,
Yeah,
and getting the awareness out there. Um,
100%.
because I don't think there's not enough people out there being able to do
Yeah.
that part. Um,
I know. I've been posted about it for like how long? Like
yeah,
years.
I
Like I've been
know.
working with models for like a decade now, and they'll still reach a new audience. And people are like, I didn't even know we were there yet. Like
Mm.
it feels very like sci-fi come to life for them, and they don't realize, and it's crazy.
It's a different world, isn't it? It is an incredibly different world. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to tap into, Tilly, if it's all right. I mean, you have done an amazing amount of various different things along your journey, from CBBCs,
Yeah.
through to even now, like your super duper band that you have.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on any of that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like my whole like life, I feel like I'm such a, I don't know if you see like people talk about like that one unemployed friend who's just doing the most random stuff like on every day of the week. I feel like very much like I've lived like a million different lives, especially during like COVID time. I feel like everyone was a
Mm,
bit lost during COVID times. I was just trying everything. And somehow I ended up on a CBBC singing competition, which we filmed in 2020, it aired in 2021. And I literally went under that. Like, I took myself out of school at a certain point to like focus more on like public speaking and like whatever. And yeah, like, so I was like really interested to go on this show because they asked me to. The producer was talking to me anyway. Then he found out I could sing because I was appeared on This Morning playing piano during lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, so then they was like, oh yes, he was sort of waiting for the show to put me on, I think. And then he found that one, and he was like, would you want to do this? And at the time, I didn't feel like I was like that good of a singer. Do you know what I mean? Like I did stage school and whatever, but like I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I never knew it was going to be anything more than that. And then I was like, you know what? Something new. I like
Give
to
it a
sing,
go.
and I literally joined that show like wanting to make friends. Like that was literally the thing. It was like
Ah,
like-minded, cute little music people. That sounds great. 2 weeks away in a little cabin living with people. Like that sounds sick. So yeah, I joined up with that, and then ended up getting past the audition process. And then yeah, I did the show filming in 2020. I kind of did low-key suck like the whole show. But then we had a break between the like filming of the show to the final because we had a whole public vote system, and
yeah.
thankfully by the grace of the gods the public got behind me, and I was able to make it to the final where I could like prove myself and like prove that I could actually sing because it did get to that point. So yeah, in that break I had like loads of lessons. I got back, and like I think as well in that time just my confidence in myself and my ability grew a lot.
Yeah.
A lot can change in a year, you know.
Mm,
So yeah, I just was feeling more confident. I think that was honestly the biggest difference. And
yeah.
when I got back and I got into the final, and I knew that the public was supporting me and stuff like that, that made such a difference. So genuinely I feel like I was a completely different person from the filming to the final, and then I somehow ended up winning it. So like that was crazy, and I put that down to just confidence, backing
Yeah.
myself a little bit more, because like watching it back now I could see how like shy I was. And the funniest part was I was still talking about what's important to me now, like my values are like self-love, self-confidence, helping grow that in people. I was
Yeah.
talking all about it, but I didn't really feel it at the time.
Yeah.
And that was like the journey that I was on, and then it was
Mm,
really cute to like watch it back and then see how I did like step into everything I was sort of preaching about, which made all
yeah.
the difference. So yeah, I won that. The prize for that was to perform at Radio 1's Big Weekend.
Yep.
So that was insane, that was like 20,000 people, I think. We opened before Ed Sheeran, and then we got to like spend the whole day like backstage with the VIP tents, meeting everyone, getting advice from all the other artists, which was just like the most incredible experience I'll never forget. And off the back of that, I was like, well, you can't win a CBBC singing competition and not do anything about it. So I
Well,
got
you've
the
got to
band
do
together.
something, haven't you?
Yeah, I got the band together, and that was super fun. So yeah, we're like writing music and stuff at the minute, which is
And what's
so
the
much.
band called?
It's the Tilly Lockey band.
Oh,
It is. And
it had
I
to
feel
be,
so
didn't it?
conceited saying that. Like I'm like maybe we should give this a name, but like
Oh dear, oh dear. Ah, it's very nice. And you're doing really well by all accounts.
thank you, thank you. I think
Yeah.
I think it's just fun. Like it's just so much fun. Um and yeah, I've had loads going on at the minute, but I really need to like get back with them and write again.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So what have you got planned for the future then, Tilly? As I know you're a lady in demand.
Well, I've just moved out, which means I've got like a lot of like freedom, a lot of time on my hands. I'm still on social media grind and stuff like that, and I'm locking in because I feel like I've always just been like doing it, but not to the fullest potential. Like I haven't had like a schedule or anything. So now I'm like moved out and I'm paying rent and stuff like that. I'm like I feel like I need to like lock into the self-employment bit. So I'm definitely focusing more on that and like making sure like my values and everything are like really clear and coming across. I'm
Yep.
doing a lot of like public speaking, which has been amazing. I get to like travel and like you say, raise awareness, show everyone what's going on, which
Yeah.
is super exciting. I'm going to Maine, going to Mexico next month in May, so
Wow.
that'll be really really fun. So yeah, there's all sorts going on. I really want to like write a book actually. That's one thing I want to focus on in like the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like I've got these ideas bubbling away.
Oh, amazing. Superb. Well, Tilly, I think everybody is kind of amazed with what you've done. I think you are a true inspiration, just not just to sort of amputees, but just to everybody in general, what you've put, what you've had to go through, what you've pushed yourself forward through thick and thin, and what you're trying to achieve further on is outstanding. So thank you once again for coming on to Steel Bones Ampcast. I really appreciate that, your time and everything, and I'd like to say thank you.
Thanks, John. This is so good to see you, chat to you.